I'm writing a blog post at the moment about the one thing that business owners have learned during lockdown. And today I'm speaking to Lee Jackson. So Lee, what's the one thing you've learned about your business during lockdown?
Because I'm a professional speaker, Richard, I've actually come up with about 6, I think. So I'll I'll try and give as much value as I can. When it all first happened, which is nearly a year ago at the time of recording now, so we're in March 2020, everything stopped for me. So I earned my money being in front of audiences. Audiences ceased to exist temporarily. So it was literally like nothing happened. So after a few days of like, oh, what do we do? And then we went into what I call the sourdough period of everybody making sourdough bread or learning Japanese. And most people like myself who run their own business were thinking, okay, what do we do about this? And so basically, I think one of the keys is flexibility. That I think the businesses that have struggled are the ones that have got all their eggs in one basket and have not been flexible enough. Now, that's a carte blanche term. I'm not putting anyone down if they've gone out of business, anything like that. But for me, the ultimate thing was flexibility, because I've done some stuff online beforehand, but really, I usually, get on a train or get in the car, turn up in front of an audience, whether it's 12 people or 2,000 people. So that wasn't going to happen anymore. So what do I do? What do I do to be flexible? And so I decided to change what I do a little bit. Still use my expertise in what I do. So I do get good at work, get good at presenting. Those are the two things that I deliver. But I suddenly realized, well, it needs to be get good at work from home because people are at home. And it needs to be get good at presenting online because no one was presenting in person. I've done one in-person gig in the last year. That's how bad the industry's been from that point of view. And that was in a school in September where a friend of mine booked me to go into a school in Leeds, and they opened the fire door that was next to the car park. I ran in the fire door with my mask on, took my mask off, plugged everything in, did my talk, put my mask on, ran back out the fire door. It wasn't exactly what I usually do in a school or in a business. So it was an odd situation. So basically the key is always flexibility. That's good for resilience and it's good for everything else, to be as flexible as we can. Some people would call it a growth mindset. You have a fixed mindset. I don't do that. You hear people saying, I don't do the internet. No, I don't do social media. Well, that's a choice that people make. And actually a growth mindset or having flexibility is also a choice that people make. So I guess I chose, after panicking slightly, I chose, okay, how can I be flexible enough to get myself out of this? And I was reflecting on this morning before we spoke, and I'm going to say something now which seems like really demotivational, which is ironic as my job as a motivational speaker, but it's not. One of the things as well is to work within your limitations. That sounds ridiculous because I should be the person going, you can smash every boundary. You can, I don't do the yeehaw thing, Richard, right? I'm from Yorkshire, right? So it's Yorkshire motivation. So actually working within your limitations is really helpful because you find freedom in your limitations. So if I couldn't be in front of an audience, there's no point fighting that. I couldn't, rev myself up to get in front of an audience because there was no audiences. So what was my limitation? My limitation was this. So how do I present well online? How do I make my content relevant online? That was my limitation. And I found flexibility and actually freedom within that little boundary. Do you know what I mean? Mm-hmm. So that really helped me. I thought of a couple of, I'll just chuck in a couple of other things. If you're in business, I think people forget this. I mean, you've seen this because you work with so many businesses, Rich. I'm sure you've seen this. Maybe you can tell me, but I think businesses sometimes forget that they are there to solve a problem.
Yeah.
Right.
Absolutely.
So you do marketing, right? Someone has a product to launch, whatever. They come to you, you do the marketing, you're solving that problem. Businesses sometimes, I think, especially if they've been in business a long time, they think that they're in business to be in business. And actually, no, we're there to solve a problem. So I solve people's problems. If I didn't solve people's problems, I wouldn't get booked. It's as simple as that.
Yeah, absolutely.
So have you experienced that with any of your clients and colleagues in the last
Yeah,
year?
yeah, it can end up being just about just survival, but it is that kind of, well, you can't just survive. You can't just keep people just coming, just paying you if you're not actually, if you're not delivering it back. And I think you're right. I think a lot of people do forget that and just kind of go into survival mode and quite myopic. I think that was one of the things from the initial start of the lockdown. I think a lot of people went into panic mode and were like, just stop everything we're doing. Don't spend another penny on anything because I'm in panic mode. And then I think that eased a little bit, but I think there are still some people who are still in panic mode. And to be fair to them, fair enough, because if you're in the hospitality industry or something akin to that, what else can you do really? If you own a bar and you can't open it, you're a bit stuck. But
Yeah, I think if you're in hospitality and that kind of stuff. But I mean, but I was at a cafe the day, it was Valentine's Day, and I ordered 2 afternoon teas in a box from a local cafe here in Leeds. And they were doing a roaring trade.
yeah,
There was people queuing up outside to get Sunday lunches, afternoon tea, Valentine's meals. They were so flexible, and they changed. They were completely closed, but they had one person at a time going in the shop, picking up a box of stuff, and they made, I don't know, 30 quid from me
yeah,
for a couple of sandwiches and some cream
yeah,
cakes. You know what I mean? So yeah, with that flexibility and that can-do attitude, it does help a lot of people. You know?
absolutely,
Yeah,
absolutely.
yeah. So I was thinking about a couple of other things, I think, and these are more personal stuff. So maybe not just business stuff, but some personal stuff. I think how I've survived in this is one is doing the flexibility, solving problems, but actually finding the funny in life has been really
Yeah,
important. Business can be so serious. Actually, you've got to find those little moments, right? And we don't see each other that often, but when we bump into each other, I would say we're probably always laughing, right?
yeah, absolutely, yeah, yeah,
Because that's what you want to do. If you want to, oh, great, it's Richard, you know. So if I bumped into you in town, it would be like, let's grab a coffee and
yeah,
we have a laugh together. And what we've done is, I think we've lost some of that funny stuff, and we just got to find the funny. I've just been on Clubhouse. I've just discovered Clubhouse,
yeah,
and I've just been on there, and I just went on last night, and it was really funny. It was just being involved, and I got up on the stage. I ended up being involved in a session about presentation skills, just totally out of the blue. But it was funny. So finding the funny is important. Connecting with others has been a big deal. I've had the Professional Speaking Association. I know 600 other speakers. I've been connecting with others, and that's been important. Looking after myself as best I can. I think I've put on a bit of timber, Richard, if I'm honest. But
yeah, so, yeah,
haven't we all? Because I can't, play basketball like I used to and all that stuff, and jogging and stuff doesn't really do it for me. But there is some elements of regular walks and that kind of thing. And then actually accountability as the other thing that people don't like,
yeah,
but that's really helped me.
right,
So I have some guys in my life that make me sort of personally accountable. We're very honest with each other about life and how we're doing. So I've got that support, but also a bit of a kick when I need it.
yeah,
And I've also got a mastermind group for business accountability with 4 other speakers. And
right,
I
okay,
run ideas past them, and they say, no, Lee, no, I wouldn't do that. Or yeah, go for it. And they'll say, when are you going to do that by?
yeah, yeah.
And they hold me a little
That's
bit to
yeah.
account.
Yeah, that's important. I've done those masterminds before, and it is good for somebody who's not even got no kind of feel in your business. They've got nothing to lose by kind of giving you that advice, but they kind of go, well, and I think that works well because you can either give or take that advice. You can go, thanks for your advice, but I don't agree with you, so I'm going to do it anyway. But a good mastermind group will go, well, that's fine, because you don't have to take advice, but at least they'll kind of go, but you need to make a decision. What are you going to do? No, I think
Yeah.
I've read something somewhere that basically any decision is better than no decision.
Well, not making a decision is a decision in itself,
Yeah,
which people forget about. They think, if I don't, if I've got an exam coming up, if I don't revise for the exam, it's like, no, you've made a decision not to revise. You know what I mean? It's like people forget that make a decision not to be flexible in their business. So
yeah,
yeah, I think making quick decisions is important. And I'll just tell you a quick story about, I was just talking to a close relative of mine this morning, And they were just saying that they're a key worker, and they've been working, I won't tell you where, but in a sort of government type position. And they just told me that last Monday, they just got in at 8:30 and they just cried their eyes out at work. It all just hit them. They got it out of their system, they got some help, and their friends, and they were fine. So 8:30 in the morning, they were crying their eyes out. I think they just hit a wall, and I think that's where we're at right now.
Yeah.
I hear people hitting the wall after nearly a year of this, hitting the wall. But she got some support, and within an hour she was back at work. It was fine, and she was sharing this with me. But we've got to look after ourselves. We've got to understand that this is not normal. This is difficult. Someone said COVID's like a headache that doesn't go away, right? So
yeah, it's one of the things. I think it's going to be with us. I think everyone it's going to be with us for a long time, isn't it? It's going to be managed. Is going to be the thing. It's not going to go away. We're going to have to manage it like we do with the flu and other diseases like that. Yeah.
Well, that's okay. Good. And the last thing I'd say is, with the sort of on the back of that, is I do not underestimate, I think in business and personally, do not underestimate the power of hope.
Yeah.
Hope for the future, hope that things will change. Not blind optimism, that's a different thing.
Yeah.
That is wafer thin. Hope is deep. It's about values and beliefs and faith and all sorts of different things. It's I really do have hope for the future. The sun's just coming through my window. The sun is shining. I do have hope.
Shining. Yeah.
I do have hope for the future, but things have been really tough, and people have lost people, and they've been ill, but I still have hope for the future, and that makes a big difference.
Yeah, I mean, obviously that's one of our core values as the marketing optimist. We are all about being optimistic, but not blind, like you say, not blind optimism. Our optimism comes from being well considered and planned. So you put the best structure you can in place. And then with marketing, obviously you do need a bit of optimism that I've done everything I possibly can to get it right.
Yeah.
But there's still no guarantee it'll work. So we're optimistic that things will work because we've done our best to ensure that we couldn't have done anything else. And then that optimism is important. But blind optimism's a waste of time. That's just people just going, let's just do it, and with no planning or thought or kind of fail safe.
So there's kind of an irony, really, because you're like one of the most down to earth guys that I know, and your business name sounds quite fluffy.
Yes, I guess.
I mean, the marketing optimist, but actually, it's not. If you understand what true optimism is and what hope is, it's not fluffy at all. It is solid, and sure, it has risks and stuff like that. Yeah, I think I think hope particularly has had a bad rep. I think it's becoming like something fluffy and nice, and actually no, it's something that's really solid. It is, there's an old proverb that says, hope deferred makes the heart sick. That's a 3,000-year-old proverb. When we saw no end to lockdown, what was everyone's mood like?
Yeah.
In the last few days, we've heard that things are changing.
Yeah, people start to lift a little bit already, don't they?
Yeah. So who knows what will happen? But if we have the flexibility and the personal resilience, we can kind of run with it, and we can do that stuff.